Hey everyone, it's Evan Kirstel with another fascinating guest for us telecom and contact center geeks. Ujval Karialu, CTO, SVP, and technology leader at IntelePeer, a company you may not have heard of. Ujval, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, Evan?
I'm doing really well here in Massachusetts. Great to have you on because this is a topic that I think will be interesting to my audience and beyond. Before we dive in, maybe introduce yourself and your background and who is IntelePeer.
Yes, really excited to be here. First of all, thanks for the opportunity in front of your audience. So my background is I'm a contact center geek, so that's why I'm here. So I've been in the contact center communications platform industry for over 15 years now. Worked at a small contact center UCAS companies, which we sold off to Vonage. So my experience has been in the UCAS and CCAS space, building a company, getting acquired, and then moving more towards the platform side of things has been my experience. So not prepackaged applications like UCAS and CCAS, but how platforms can make a difference in CX has been my focus. And I've been doing that for the last year here at IntelePeer. Um, IntelePeer is a platform company. We have a rich legacy of communications, networking, as well as compliance and regulatory. We're really big on those things as well. But over the last 5 years, we have really made the pivot to being a CPaaS company, building the platform from the ground up, and building solutions like no-code, low-code solutions on top of our existing platform, the legacy platform that we had, really modernizing it to enable it to be the best and the world-class CPaaS platform it is today. Really, the focus of IntelePeer is to make CX better for our customers, for mid-market and SMB enterprises. The goal really is to make it such that you can deploy uh, solutions in a really quick and no code fashion, as well as automating customer workflows. So this is a new coin our we've termed as communication workflow automation, CWA. And that has been our focus over the last 2 years, is to how can we bring that to the masses, how can we bring that to the enterprises.
Yeah, super exciting. And I've known you guys for, gosh, over a decade. And you've really come to market with not just a few solutions, but a whole suite. One in which we're going to talk about in particular, which is reputation management. Um, that may be an odd term of art to some listening. So maybe you need to set the scene about why your phone number, your business phone number, or a contact center, 800 numbers, what have you, are fundamentally important to your reputation.
No, they are, and it applies both. And I'll talk about in a contact center space. It applies both inbound and outbound, right? So I mean, this is maybe just a kind of a reference question back at you. You know, how many calls that you receive on your mobile device these days are marked spam, right?
All of
Oh,
them. I
all of
literally
them.
can't answer the phone anymore. So
Exactly,
it's not
exactly.
the drama, right?
So what's happened over the last 3 years is with the FCC regulating what is called stir shaken. It's a big acronym. I won't go into the details of that. But what that really is, that the FCC regulating or mitigating robocalling, right? So there's a robocalling epidemic that happened over the last 10 years. It got worse. And then the FCC stepped in and said all the providers in the space, telecom providers, CLECs, they really need to go in and regulate this, control robocalling. There are some specs with the stir shaken process that were laid out for all service providers to follow. And guess what that made happen? It made some calls, well, majority of the calls in our case, and I'm the same way. I get majority of my calls are marked spam. So all the service providers implemented that, but it kind of had a positive and a negative, right? So customers that are running fair and legitimate businesses trying to reach, or businesses reaching out to their customers outbound, they ran into these issues. Like every single day, their calls are being marked spam where they are legitimate callers. For the voice calls, it became, well, my reputation is being tarnished, I'm being marked spam, and then your answer rate for calls, right? So your answer rate, in the sense how many customers percentage wise end users answer your calls, were dropping dramatically after stir shaken implementation. So one of the things that I was telling my team about is, it took an act of FCC to realize that this was happening. This is probably happening before as well. It probably got a little worse, but there was a business opportunity here for businesses, for providers like IntelePeer. IntelePeer has been leading this space to really get after the not just the spammers, but also enabling the outbound reputation for our customers to be more positive, higher answer rates. So what we've done is with the product, really giving the power to our businesses, to our customers, so that they have a higher answer and percentage of answer rates when they're reaching out, running campaigns, and what have you.
Yeah, interesting. And there are a lot of sort of half-baked solutions out there. So what is unique about IntelePeer versus like a DIY or a hack on
Yep.
your PBX or phone system? How can you really improve caller ID reputation and performance on those contact center calls? The lifeblood of the contact center is phone calls. Believe it or not, we still love our phone calls. Yeah.
Yes, yes, voice is still king, right? At the end of the day, we are on a video call. Video is, 10 years ago, I
Yes.
remember video was the new voice, but voice still remained king. The key that IntelePeer does differently is that we own the end-to-end network, first of all, right? So customer picks up the phone, dials outbound, and is able to place that call all over our network. So we have visibility. So we can provide data analytics, really provide you a ROI day one on that solution. So because we have the visibility end to end. Number two, we actually have a myriad of databases that we dip for reputation. When a customer is making an outbound call, we are not just looking at the numbers they're trying to reach, their own, say the 1-800 number, for example. 1-800, I give this example all the time, 1-800 flowers, right? So that they're trying to reach their customers. They have a Valentine's Day campaign going on, right? So they want to reach their existing customer base. When they do that, their number will be not just, we call it cleaning a number, not just clean from a single database perspective, but a myriad of databases that
Wow.
we have access to. So that is the big two reasons why IntelePeer solution really differentiates, because we have the analytics end to end, call control end to end, and then a myriad of databases that we provide access from in terms of cleaning the numbers.
Fantastic. And how's the adoption been since launching the service? Any insights into adoption and deployment? This sounds like something you can turn on pretty readily.
Yes, pretty straightforward to turn on. We actually have a process. When we launched it, it was around, we had about 10 customers that were looking for this solution. Now we have over, I believe, over 50 over the last, we launched it last year. I believe we had a early access in October and then launched it in November. A lot of the customers back then, and we really focused it on, say, a particular vertical, right? So we had the mortgage industry, the loan industry, right? We had the retail industry reaching out to their customer base. So we were kind of industry specific in the beginning, but now it's horizontally across all the industries. We are actually also reaching out to our base of 4,000 plus customers, because we have our account management team really chomping at the bit, because we have customers that have, they don't even know, because again, since we have the end to end visibility, customers which are using other platforms, they don't even know what the potential is here, right? So so what we did for a couple of customers is, loan industry customer that we had, they were reaching out to close loans, and there are other use cases in the loan industry, and they had about 50% success rate, and bumped up to 80% using our product, and we could
Wow.
show that ROI like within a week to the customer. They take a sample size of their outbound calls, run it through the platform, and show the ROI right away. So
Wow.
it's been growing gangbusters, and the team's done a great job. The marketing team, the product team, the engineering team has done a great job at getting this product out and constantly improving. And we'll kind of, I'm more than happy to talk about what's next in this journey, because it's not us, right? Our customers are telling us what they want next.
Yeah, you guys are very customer driven, and so the ROI is there. I reluctant to call it a no brainer, but it's a pretty obvious
Yep.
step. But then, like you said, what's next? What else can you do in terms of call handling, call treatment? IVRs, messaging, other kinds of ways to enhance the consumer caller.
Yeah,
experience?
yeah. So again, not to say, not to kind of diminish messaging. One of the products we are looking at is, messaging based reputation management, right? So you have a 1-800 number, you are running a campaign, outbound voice campaign. Yes, great. We have that covered. Now we are looking at outbound messaging campaigns. When you're using 800 numbers or 10-digit numbers or short codes, you do get, you have to register the numbers, right? So you got to kind of, the process with wireless carriers is that you have to register the number. You want to make sure that when you're running a campaign, so you don't get blocked by the upstream carriers, AT&T, T-Mobile, etc. Uh, so a part of that is going to be, yes, we do that today. You can register the number, but let's do the same thing. Let's use this comprehensive data warehouse that we have access to as IntelePeer, and use the same logic we're using on voice to run reputation management for messaging. So that's one. Number two is, as now you're placing calls and your success rates going up, right? It went up from 50, 80, going to 90%. What's the next thing you want to do? I mean, this is something that, again, I feel like we are maybe 10 years behind on this, really. The whole industry is in general. Because 2008, when the iPhone was launched, right? 2007 iPhone was launched, you got a nice big screen on your phone. What could you have done with that, right? When you did all the apps and all the magic, and games started popping up, and but you didn't do nobody did anything around, hey, when a call comes in, how can we make that experience richer? It just shows a name and a phone number, right? Sometimes not even a name, because CNAME delivery isn't really tied into the wireless carriers, right? It's a kind of a landline thing. CNAME is, when you look at that, you push the data, how can we make that experience richer? So we are working closely with a couple of our partners, and working that have relationship. We have relationships with wireless carriers too. But what we really want to do is we want to have that level of access where we are now pushing content information, which is called branded caller ID, which is like your company's information will pop up on the phone when you
Wow.
dial in. It is not just a name and a number. So a brief, maybe you can even populate the reason for your calling in one sentence. You have these the smartphones these days that have all this real estate. Let's use that to our advantage. So we're looking at a product called branded caller ID, where you can call in with your number, name, and brief info about your company and the reason you're calling, for example, badges, etc. You have, if you're calling outbound, there is badges you can assign to customers. You can assign gamification. If customers answer, you can assign them, hey, you won this, and right away you can show them on the brand on their screen that they won. If it was the 10th caller or something, right, that was part of the campaign, they win a trip to Hawaii, for example. You can show all that on the screen. So things like that are really the next step in the evolution. So you've improved your reputation. Yes, you start getting good success there, right? But what else can you do? How can you make the customer engagement more richer and more engaging?
Yeah, that's interesting. And gosh, it's taken like until now to add intelligence to voice calls and even messaging now with
Yep.
iMessage and RCS coming into play. So many opportunities for business to business, business to consumer enhancement. And what about, there's a lot of legacy tech out there, and it's not all cloud
Yep.
based calling these days. Can you help those folks who have maybe older style contact centers and TDM and so forth?
Yeah, so that actually, when I talk about IntelePeer's history, that is where IntelePeer really, shone back in, a few years ago, before we kind of, before we actually saw the opportunity with CPaaS, right? CPaaS is, to me, the real use cases. CPaaS is just kind of an acronym, but the real use cases are, okay, how are you solving contact center inbound problems? How are you solving contact center outbound problems? How are you solving CX problems for customers? So we look at it from that perspective. And to us, it really does not matter if you're running an on-prem system. There's like iron in your closet, in your data center, or in your office, or if you're already in the cloud. We integrate with on-prem systems the same way we would integrate, say, a rep management product with a cloud-based system. So because we have APIs, we can connect with any system that the customer has. What we add on top of, which is really a value add for customers, is the back end, enterprise systems integration, right? If you're running a campaign out of Microsoft Dynamics or Salesforce Marketing Cloud, What we allow the customers to do is integrate into that, pull data, a list from the system, run a campaign. And by the way, when you run a campaign, your rep management is taken care of, right? Your numbers are clean, and you'll have 90% success rate in answering the calls. And then when you do branded caller ID on top of that, you can collect the information that the user is entering based on your branded caller ID and dump it back into the CRM, Dynamics or Salesforce. So we
Wow.
have this end-to-end visibility and constantly synchronous data that's flowing through our system based on customer interaction that we can store back and forth with whatever system the customer is using. That's the advantage of open APIs, as well as having easy to program, low code, no code system to run these kind of interactions.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for all the insights. It's been fascinating to see this boom in contact center and customer experience initiatives, really driven by the pandemic and the rise of e-commerce and remote support, remote working. Um, you're at the forefront of all this at IntelePeer. Are you going to take some time off this summer, or does tech doesn't sleep, right? So you're going to keep
Tech
plowing through on the next deliverable, the next release.
Tech doesn't sleep. That's right. Actually, I tell my team, actually, I didn't coin this word. It was one of my engineers. He basically said, we don't take vacation or sleep, we wait. you know so that was an interesting term, but the team's always on their toes. We are in there, always available for our customers, there's no doubt. But we do have backups of backups, so we do tend to plan ahead and get everybody time off. I mean, at IntelePeer we have a policy of unlimited vacation,
Oh,
which is huge, right? So we have one of our main drivers to get new folks recruited into the company. It's not necessarily a newer concept, but it does allow us to have that flexibility, as long as you're planning around your colleagues, and you have backup. Everybody takes vacations. But yeah, from a product perspective, though, we are looking at all these new features. We're also looking at a holistic approach to contact center, right? So you're talking about customers that move from on-prem to the cloud. What we can allow customers to do is make that transition smoother and enable workflow automation, right? Both for outbound and inbound into the contact center. One of the big things we do is inbound. On the inbound side also is, um, we allow customers, if they have on-prem or cloud system. Cloud's not, cloud fails too, right? Amazon has outages, Google has outages. A lot of these CCaaS contact centers are on these public clouds, and when they have issues, what we allow customers to do is, if they're we have having the end-to-end visibility, both outbound and inbound, allows us to provide disaster recovery, business
wow.
continuity for these contact centers, right? For inbound, so we allow that, whether you are on the cloud and maybe you have a backup that goes to an on-prem system, we can bridge those two together for the customer inbound. So that we continue to enhance our functionality when it comes to outbound and inbound. The other big example, and this is kind of reputation, it's not reputation, it's basically spam management. The other
Right.
thing, like, you're getting a call inbound now imagine the other side of the house, right? You're getting an inbound call. It's marked spam. Are you going to answer it? Probably no. What if you answer it? You get engaged with either a bot or somebody that's trying to sell you something, or scam you, right? So, what happens in contact centers is that inbound workflow coming in, if the hits an agent, if it does hit an agent, the agent gets tied up for at least 10, 15 seconds just trying to hang up that call. And that is lost revenue for the business as well. So, what we are in the process of launching as we speak, we are working closely on an inbound. We're calling it inbound reputation. We just love the word inbound rep management, but it's really inbound spam protection. So we can protect the business from wasted minutes and on the agent side, so that there's more productivity on the agents. So we have a lot of customers that came to us and said, our agents are spending about 30% of their time just on calls that they shouldn't be even answering. How
Wow.
can we stop that? And we are actually working with about three customers right now, large enterprises that have inbound contact centers that want us to block the call before it hits their agents. So
Wow, fantastic. Alexander Graham Bell would be proud. Yeah, what you
it's
guys
true.
are doing is so important. I mean, there's so many fundamental flaws with our telecom, and phone network.
Yep.
that you're really fixing and enhancing things. I hope some of the FCC and other folks are listening and following as well, because it's more than just a value-added service. It's fundamental to communications in our country and beyond. So thanks so much for the update, and look forward to all the progress. And check out IntelePeer and follow them on Twitter and LinkedIn. So
Thanks for the time.
yeah,
Take
thanks
care,
for
everybody.
joining me. Have a great summer.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.